The world's going to change tonight, Doctor. Happy Halloween.
Stop it!
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, the night no one comes home.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch came out in the year 1982 and was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. This film would be the only film in the entire Halloween franchise to not feature Michael Myers. And the reason for that? Well, 1 year previous in Halloween 2, Michael Myers was blown up along with Dr. Loomis, ending that Halloween storyline. And the reason for that was because the original creators of this franchise, both Deborah Hill and John Carpenter, wanted to move away from the shape. They wanted to continue on with this franchise, but make it a Halloween anthology series going forward, where every year we would get a new Halloween film that would center around a different event with a different horror concept, very much so in the vein of something like The Twilight Zone. And while this concept didn't end up working out with fans, critics, or box office results, they at least tried to do something different with the Halloween franchise, and so we got Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Now, before we get into the review, I did get to watch this on 4K. This is my Steelbook copy of the Scream Factory edition of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I think the artwork, this might be my favorite Steelbook. I love the artwork on this thing, and the quality for the 4K upgrade is incredible. I've seen Season of the Witch a couple of times in the past, but this is the first time I've watched it on 4K, and it was incredible to look at. I love this transfer. If you get the chance to pick up a copy of this, I don't even know if they're still selling them, but if you get a chance, I highly recommend you watch it on this transfer to 4K. All right, let's do the review for Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Michael Myers is alive.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
So Halloween 3 Season of the Witch opens up 8 days before the scariest day of the year, Halloween. And we're introduced to an older man who's carrying a pumpkin mask with a little silver shamrock attached to it as he runs away from some men in suits that are in a car. It's unclear why he's running from them or why he's holding this pumpkin mask, but these men catch up to him and they try to kill him, but they only badly injure him to the point where he's got to be rushed to a hospital. Once at this hospital, we are introduced to Dr. Daniel Chalice, who's the star of this film, played by Tom Atkins. Dr. Dan stabilizes the man, makes sure that he's okay. The guy's a bit delirious, saying they're going to kill everyone, and he doesn't really know why he's saying that, but he's able to stabilize him, get him to sleep, and then you find out that Dr. Dan is a bit of an alcoholic, and he's actually going to go sleep off the last couple drinks that he had in his office. So with no one watching this patient, another man in a suit shows up to the hospital and brutally murders this old man, again, seemingly for no reason. The next morning, we're introduced to the old man's daughter, played by Stacey Nelkin, and her name in this movie is Ellie, and Ellie asks the doctor to please help her figure out who the men in suits were that killed her father and what that pumpkin mask with a little silver shamrock has to do with any of this. After a little bit of investigation, they find out where the masks are made. They're in a town called Santa Mira, California, and at that point, they get in their car, they go to that town where they find the Silver Shamrock Factory. And so for the rest of the movie, they continue their investigation into the Silver Shamrock Factory, only to uncover a very dark secret about a Celtic cult that plans on killing millions of children with the power of Stonehenge on Halloween night. And that is the best synopsis that I can give you for Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. If that sounds like a fun time, well, you can go ahead and watch this movie anytime that you want. If you've never seen this film because maybe you've skipped it because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it, I definitely recommend that you check it out. Now, we are going to get into my positives and my negatives for Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, but before I do that, if this is the first time you found my channel, well, I would love for you guys to hit that subscribe button. Check out all the different content that I have, whether you like movie reviews, Blu-ray talk, or even ranked list videos. I've got a little bit of everything on my channel, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. All right, let's get into my positives and my negatives for Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
My first positive for this movie is that it has a great spooky atmosphere. Opening up 8 days before Halloween, you feel that fall atmosphere throughout this movie. Every set, every scene feels like it's gearing towards something really dark and horrible happening on Halloween night. As things progress throughout this film, it gets darker for our main characters. You start to have things revealed to you. By the end of this film, there's no more twists and turns. It's just this very dark thing that's going to happen on Halloween, and I really think that they captured that spooky fall atmosphere really well. My next positive for this movie is the Silver Shamrock theme song. I love that once again we have a piece of music in a Halloween film that means so much to the overall storyline. They're able to take this annoying Silver Shamrock theme song, 8 more days, 7 more days, 6 more days to Halloween, and it's so annoying and it's so grating, but it's so important to the overall story of this film. As you whittle down those days all the way to Halloween, you see the power that this theme song has and how it's going to help kill so many children around the world. It's a dark and horrible song, but again, it's a great song for Halloween, and I put it in my Halloween playlist every single year when I'm passing out candy to trick-or-treaters. I always have a speaker outside with some music playing, and along with all the other iconic theme songs, I make sure Silver Shamrock is in there because again, it's so creepy and it's used so well throughout this film. My next positive for this movie is the ending of this film, the way they're able to wrap this entire thing up, leaving the viewer wondering if the plan from this evil cult group actually went through. You've got Tom Atkins screaming into this phone, telling them to stop playing the song. It's going to kill millions of people, and it just cuts right there. You don't know if it actually went through or not, and I thought that that ending was done so well, and it truly feels like the end of a Twilight Zone episode, and that's perfect because that's what John Carpenter wanted. He wanted to have a Twilight Zone feeling movie in the Halloween series. He wanted it to match what the Twilight Zone was able to do. Growing up, I watched so many episodes of that old black and white Twilight Zone, so when I got to the end of this movie, that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like the end of a Twilight Zone episode where you, the viewer, were left feeling, well, did it happen or not? Do I have to choose if it was a good, happy ending or a bad, dark ending? And again, they were able to capture that Twilight Zone feeling perfectly, so I love how they wrapped up this film. And my final positive of this movie is once again them including the idea of Samhain into the end of this movie. The idea of the end of fall, beginning of winter, Halloween, where witchcraft and a sacrifice is necessary for some evil plan. And of course, this evil plan includes Stonehenge, so it does feel different from those first two Halloween films. It feels different from the explanation that we got out of Loomis at the end of the second film, but you still get that little bit of Samhain sort of mixed into this film. And while we didn't end up getting any more of the anthology ideas of the Halloween series, we did end up getting more of that cult feeling going forward. And we'll talk about that in future reviews. But for now, talking about this film, again, I just love that they were able to incorporate a little bit more of that witchcraft, that idea that there's some sort of cult in the background. And it does make me wonder if this film had performed better at the box office, if critics and fans had liked it more, and we had gotten more anthology films going forward, would they all be based around this idea of Samhain? Would they all be based around some sort of cult or sacrifice or witchcraft? I feel like we would. I feel like John Carpenter was onto something there, but again, it performed horribly at the box office, so we went back to Michael Myers, but we still kept up a bit of the cult, and so I love the idea of the cult or the sacrifice that was needed by the end of this film. That'll do it for my positives. Now we have to get into my negatives, and my first negative for this film is that there's not much to the main characters of this film, both Dr. Dan and Ellie. You do feel bad for Ellie because her dad died. She's trying to figure out why he died, why he was murdered, but there's not much to her other than that. And the same kind of goes for Dr. Dan. You could see that he's a divorced dad. He's not even a very good dad. He's always at the hospital. He's flirting with the nurses at the hospital, telling the nurses that he should have married them. So you can tell that he was probably a bad husband. He's definitely not a great dad, and he's an alcoholic. And it seems like the only reason he's going along with Ellie to figure out why her father was murdered was because he's just trying to sleep with Ellie, which he does end up doing about halfway through this film. And so it seems like there's not not much to latch onto for either of their characters. They're both just sort of going through the motions in this movie, which doesn't make you really care for either of them very much. If anything, the mask maker in this film seems to be the most interesting character. He seems to have the most going on. I would have liked to have followed his story a little bit more, but unfortunately, through the first 2 acts of this film, he's playing the good guy. He's like, I'm just a toy maker turned into a mask maker. I'm a good guy bringing in my top salesman. Like, there's nothing to see here. And then by the 3rd act, he's like, actually, we're doing witchcraft and we're sacrificing people. And I feel like there was a lot more to uncover in his story, and we just don't get it. And my other negative for this movie is probably the same thing that so many other people have an issue with, and that is that the Halloween films that came before it are just movies in this timeline. See, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is actually its own timeline within this entire franchise. There are 5 timelines, and one of them is dedicated specifically to this film, where the other Halloween movies in the timeline are just that, they're movies. And that's made very clear to you, the viewer, when somebody watching TV in this film is watching the original Halloween 1978 on TV right before another Silver Shamrock commercial. And so again, this is by itself completely. Everything that happened in the previous 2 movies, it's just that in this timeline. They're just movies. And I put in my negatives because that irritates me so much that we didn't find a way to make Michael Myers a thing in this universe or in this timeline. There's a way they could have done it. They could have had something happen where Michael Myers was at least talked about in a newspaper or something. Since this doesn't take place in Haddonfield, Illinois, it takes place in California. You could have had something, but instead they decided to cut it off completely, and it just feels wildly inconsiderate to my boy, Michael Myers. So I put this in my negative because I don't think this needed to be a complete standalone. I know they were trying to move on from Michael Myers. Clearly that didn't work, and so they should have found a way to incorporate him into this film. But even though this movie isn't connected to any of the main timelines, overall I still have fun anytime I sit down to watch this movie. It's a movie that they really swung for the fences on. They tried to do something new, and I respect them for that. Instead of just going back to the well, bringing back Michael Myers right away, they at least tried to do something different, and I can respect that. It's not my favorite movie in the Halloween franchise, but it's still a fun movie to watch, especially if you watch it as its own thing. Aside from all the Michael Myers stuff, you can have a fun time with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. But guys, those are just my opinions because that's my review for Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Have you guys had a chance to see this film? If you have, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know where we agree or disagree. I always love hearing your thoughts on movies, and this one's been out for so long, so you've probably been able to see this multiple times. If there's something in it you love or don't love that I didn't talk about today, make sure you throw that in the comment section. Finally, guys, if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button because it helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Alright guys, we get to the end of my Halloween 3 Season of the Witch review. I had a fun time making this review. Of course, this review is part of my bigger Halloween movie review series where I'm watching and reviewing each and every one of the Halloween films in the Halloween franchise every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in October of 2025 leading up to Halloween, where I will rank the entire franchise from the worst to the best, so keep an eye out on my channel throughout this month for more Halloween content. But in the meantime, if you want to check out any of the other content on my channel, well, I've got my entire Halloween movie review series playlist right there, and I've got my entire Saw movie review series right there.